Boy, does that look good. Try not to scratch up the new polished wheels by throwing the nuts in there. Look at that, done all one-handed. Funny. All right, everyone, welcome back to another video. First off, second off, I don't have much time out here tonight. We got the car in back on jack stands after doing our little photo shoot with it. Now I'm starting to knock off general maintenance items. So number one is this left front over here. I've been battling with this brake hanging. So I put a new rotor on, have a new spindle. I think I just need to shim the caliper a little different because it's sitting on there kind of at an angle. So I'm gonna take a shim out, push the brake pads back in, pump back out, and see kind of how the pistons are acting. I need to take all my brakes off and do like that O-ring rebuild in the middle of it. But we'll see. I'm gonna at least accomplish this and kind of go from there, see if I need to order all those O-rings. So if y'all are looking at it, you can tell this upper, it's like top and upper. This upper piston is out further than this one. And it's got a little bit of a catch. I mean, I think this hub might be bent now that I'm doing this, but I'm gonna at least adjust this so that it is kind of even. So we're gonna take this bottom bolt out right in here, and we're gonna take a shim out and see what that does. Well, and there we go. So that's pretty good there. Okay, so I got the brakes hanging on the rear end. I'm gonna try to bleed them again and see what happens, but I think we're gonna have to do the O-ring rebuild. But anyways, we'll start working on putting these brand new hooker harness belts in. These are a pretty penny themselves, but every year, for those of you who are racers, you can send them back. They will re-web them and recertify them. So my belts are coming due July of this year for the 2-year mark. As per our rule book, you have to do them every 2 years, which is pretty common. These hooker harness, I want to say they're probably around 500 bucks. But with for like, I think it's 60 bucks a year, you can get them refreshed and you can just keep running the same ones. And also, these are the ratcheting type. So you can really ratchet yourself in there. So you're nice and secure, not going nowhere. If you get in a wreck and you stretch the belts or something, I believe you can send them in and get them re-webbed too. So yeah, these are pretty nice looking belts here. All right, so I'm setting these up to similar lengths. So the strap from the adjustable locking mechanism is a little bit longer of a gap to your clevis where it locks into your locking mechanism. So how this is gonna fit me in the car, I'm not 100% sure. So I kind of just set it to a similar length. We're gonna put it in, and then I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to pull it out and mess with it and kind of get it to where I want it. But this is probably gonna be a good starting point because this is fully extended, same point, center to center, maybe just a tad bit longer on the hooker harness side. But when we get it in the car, we'll be able to snatch them tight and kind of see how they fit. These last year were kind of fitting a little higher than I liked. They're kind of closer to my like neck device than I liked. They're fine, they're comfortable. It was just, I kind of preferred them to be a little bit lower on my chest. I think that's actually how you're supposed to be. But again, we're following the installation procedures. You're doing your triple pass through this, I don't even know what you call it, this little belt buckle area here. So do that, and then we got our clevis, and that's what we use to bolt onto the car. All right, happy Wednesday, everyone. FedEx man was good to me today. There we go. We got the new fuel pump. Let's see. Here's a new fuel log. Look how nice that looks. Oh, you know what? I didn't know it even had that on there. So I can run my external fuel pressure gauge. We got some press-on fittings. How well are these gonna work? I don't know. You gotta lube them up, heat up the line. Those things are a pain to get on. We got a 8A T fitting because that's actually gonna go there. to go into this. So we got these adapters, an 8 ORB to regular and 8 AN. We needed these. Oh, this is to a 6 AN. This is for the return line. Another 8 ORB. Here is some fuel line. This is the Speedway one, just a press on. There's the end of the hose there. This is just a return line. I'm not worried about too much pressure going back to it. And then, let's see, here it is. KSE. Oh, it's got a plug on it, okay. KSE fuel pressure regulator. So the outlet, yep, like I said, it's got a plug. So we got it in. So this goes to, okay, that's why I bought this one. So this actually isn't a return. This is to my fuel pressure gauge. So that'll go there. This goes back to the tank. This goes from the fuel log to the regulator. All right, that makes sense. All right, got it cut open with the old Morale blade. Let's see. So these are rebuildable. They were offering some kits, but here it is. Here is the 17, oh, thank you. 15 PSI pump. I was worried it wasn't gonna come with a gasket because everyone who bought these, like, bought a gasket. Maybe because that's not E85. Well, no, that should just be for oil. But, yep, there's the pump. Pro Cam, okay. Then here's some instructions on how to put it in. I think, was it 2 bolts, 3 bolts, 2 bolts? Okay, well, let's make a mess by draining fuel everywhere and kind of go from there. Gotta take this quarter panel off right here and disassemble everything. All right, so I started laying everything out before I tore this system apart. So basically I'm missing stuff. Of course, I knew this was gonna happen. I wanted to get everything and lay it out by hand. So these are 1/2 half-inch inlets on this pump. And this pump doesn't have the same. I thought they were, but they're not. Those are like 3/8. So I need to order 1/2-inch NPT to 8 AN because that's what this fuel line here is, going up to this top fuel line. I also need to get a female to female AN adapter to go off of this T-fitting, which would be here that I just put on, to go from here to the actual regulator itself. So they're gonna be sitting like this. So I need a female to female because this is ORB, not a flare AN. So I knew this was gonna happen. That's fine because I gotta order more parts. Anyways, I'm kind of running out of room. I was kind of mocking it up with the coil wires and everything, so it's gonna get real weird. I might run a hose and do a remote mount bracket, build a bracket for this on a remote mount, just so this is like away from everything and it's not vibrating, because I've heard of cars like this vibrating, and then because it's just a lot of weight, you got hoses coming off of here. It could vibrate, cause a fuel leak, and then eventually a fire, and we don't really want that. So I thought I needed a new carburetor inlet, but I forgot I just bought these brand new ones, which has a female end on them. So I'm gonna use that one, take that one off. So we're kind of piecing this together, okay? But today I can lay out my hose, get this thing cut up, and start fighting to install these press-on fittings. So I've never done a press-on AN fitting. I've built an AN line where you have, what do I have one on here? Yeah, a regular AN line where you build it, you slip this in, you tighten them together, and it expands and it stays in there. With these press-ons, kind of like this, I don't know, I just know they are a pain in the ass. So I have the line installed back here on the tank. Hopefully it's the right one. I got two, I don't know which one's which. Just did it on the forward one. You can see that 90. Got it ringing all the way down underneath all electrical lines, because that's like an aviation thing. You run fuel lines always underneath all of your electrical lines, just in case anything chafes through, starts dripping. You don't want it dripping on top of anything electrical. So that was kind of pain kind of figuring out where I was gonna snake this thing through. But we got quite a bit left over. Gonna probably just cut it here, but we'll do that once we get the regulator in. It's kind of weird. There's really no brackets made for them, so we're gonna have to do some figuring. Maybe we'll make one out of carbon fiber. It's got 2 holes here that are already tapped. Maybe do something flat, like a flat plate. Drill a hole for this line to come out the bottom. Maybe do like a 90 degree. So I have this, I'm assuming this bracket here was for like a starter relay or solenoid. So if I did like a 90, right? So 90 down to a flat spot, drill a hole in the middle, bolt this down to it from the bottom side, I think we'll be able to be in business. Actually, look what I got here. This was a tack mount that I made out of carbon. It was like my first one I ever made. It was a reject, but let's see. Well, these holes line up with the, ooh. I think we're in business. So I'm gonna get extra fittings, press-on fittings. I'm gonna use this extra hose. We might run it from here, snake it to here, and then kind of run it that way. This might work, because then this, I'll take these things off, bolt it onto there. Oh, buddy, I think we are in business. Look at that. All right, so we gotta do a little bit more figuring. This is my fuel pressure line to the gauge. You see how it's kind of like near my throttle pedal? Well, the throttle pedal goes backwards. So if I were to run it straight out to where this regulator would be, I don't think it would reach. We're gonna play around with it because I can't run it straight out because then the throttle pedal will hit it. I had all this stuff like zip tied together up here, out of the way of the throttle pedal, but I don't know. We gotta do some figuring. I'm gonna order everything to do it either method. Okay, so today is Saturday now. I have a Speedway box in with a bunch of these AN fittings. Stuff that I needed for my fuel pump, specifically because it's a 1/2" NPT thread going to an 8 AN. I also went ahead, got all of my O-rings to rebuild all of my calipers. Now, my left rear is kind of worn. I'm gonna get it as far as I can until I really don't feel comfortable running it, because all that mud gets caked up on the inside of your wheel, and I can't build a little scraper that some guys have to knock the mud out of the wheel. But anyways, let's piece together this fuel system and get on with it. Okay, so you see how that fuel line is pushing up against this coolant line? So like this is like a malleable line, but after putting this back on, after draining it, I've noticed that it really kind of rests inside of this. So I'm going to reclock this pump. I'm going to take it apart, flip it, so this inlet here is probably about maybe right here at the, would that be 5 o'clock area, just so we have some clearance for that fuel line to go up to the carburetor. Okay, we're letting all the fuel drain out of it. I needed to empty the tank anyways when I scaled the car, but we have it clocked how we want it. So I got the fuel line disconnected, and then we're getting ready to take this pump off and swap it. So I do have an issue with this carburetor though. I think we have an air leak somewhere. I kind of hear like a hiss when it's running. So I'm gonna pull it off anyways, check to see this base plate here. I might just go, these are new gaskets. I might just go get new gaskets, top and bottom, and just kind of figure out what's wrong with this thing. I mean, it's fresh from Stealth. I figured nothing would be wrong with it, but I don't know. That's another thing. So I mean, we're already gonna have all the fuel lines taken off anyways, so might as well dive into this. So of course, I need more fittings. This doesn't fit on there. I think this is a 3. It's the same one as the brake line, not a 6 like I thought. So that sucks. So I might just, to get the car running again, I might put the cap back in and then put my little gauge into this area right here, so I can kind of get it an idea where it's at. It's not, where's that gauge at? This gauge is pretty crappy, as you can tell. It needs cleaned up. Maybe I can pop this glass off and see better, but we need to take this gauge off and pop it in there. I wanted this on there anyways, just so I can like see here as I'm adjusting instead of walking back and forth to know where my fuel pressure is at. So anyways, we're gonna press on another one of these awesome fittings. It is a pain to put these things on. I'm gonna work on putting that on now that I, cut it short and I have to do it like right here, because I have the rest of it zip tied all the way back. Kind of screwed myself there, but let me knock this out, get that hooked back up, and then we can start with this fuel pump. The fuel pump being on, I had it clocked this way, took it off while it was on because it was a pain in the butt getting that push rod and everything and the gaskets curing and everything. I don't want to keep taking it on and off. So I put it on, it was clocked this way, but I couldn't get this 90 from this main fuel line to fit on here, on this fitting, because it hits on my engine mount right here. I couldn't get it on to go this way towards this fitting. So I took it off, I put it this way. But this fitting wouldn't be able to fit on right here to that inlet because it would be hitting on this bar. So we just put it back to where it was, and I have this fitting going that way. I'm gonna order more press-on fittings and make a new fuel line from the fuel log on down. It's gonna come down in a 90 this way. It's gonna fit in between here because I don't like it right there. And I need to order another 90 just like this to come out of there to go towards the block so I can run this fitting in this way. Or, well, it would be this way. So, yeah, not fun at all. I could also, with that 90, have it kind of coming out and pointing down this way. That way I can just have this fuel line, rotate it up into it like this. It's probably what I might have to do. I like that better so it's not next to the block getting hot. So yeah, I just need another 90 like that coming out of here to mount this fuel line. This has been a pain. This has been a major freaking pain. As well as I need this fitting here. I'm gonna have to get an adapter. They don't make one from an ORB 8AN to a 3 or a 4, I mean. So I have an adapter coming for this, which, no big deal. Just another $15 freaking. Oh, this has been a major pain. So I'm rebuilding my left front caliper right now. Have all the pistons out, they don't look bad. Doing that after you take it apart is kind of tricky. You gotta use some shop air and block off your transfer tube and just blow some air into there, and holy crap, I think I broke my TV. But these things come screaming out of there at mock Jesus. Anyway, just be careful of that. Then you got like 2 O-rings, one on each side in this little groove right there. Just pick those out, get your new ones, slip them on in. This is pretty simple stuff. Boom, that one's in. Let's work this one in. Okay, then you have a transfer tube O-ring. Here's the part number if you need it. Then you swap that one out. You only have one on this side. Now that we're just waiting on parts and help with this thing, I'm gonna work on the trailer today. Just waiting on those fittings to come back for my fuel log so we can finish that up. I need somebody to help me put these belts in, because especially this one over here, there's a bolt, on the back side of this dry shaft tunnel I can't get to, and I can't like prop up a wrench or something in there. So just gonna wait for some help with that. Other than that, it's ready to go through setup. I just don't want to do it until everything is done. Like, I want everything in the car as if it were going to hit the racetrack, and we ain't to that point yet. So trailer, I need to do wheel bearings on it. I'm going to pull these hubs. I mean, I think we got 4 different tires and probably 4 different hubs on this trailer. So I need to pull all these tires off. I know this one is flat. This one over here that I just put on, I don't know, midway through last season, is also flat. It's low. It's got a leak. So maybe a nail or something in it. This one's good. But yeah, you can tell we got a different hub. I mean, so we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna redo all these bearings. I ain't gonna put new ones in there. We'll see what they look like when we pull it. Saw a TikTok yesterday that these Daytona jacks are the same thing as the Snap-on ones. Somebody did some research. They're made in the same facility, and I guess there's a big lawsuit on them because well, Snap-on sued them because Snap-on ones are like $1,100 and these are like $200, $300. So I guess the guy owner of Harbor Freight found out where these were made, hit him up, cut out the middleman, threw some Daytona stickers on it, and started selling them himself. That's kind of crooked, you think, but hey, you know, they work good. All right, so check this out. Some more maintenance y'all might want to look at. Check your blinker fluid. Mine here is a little low. We got to top it off. That's just unacceptable right there. Okay, so I just took this cap off here. This is what I found. This is how the collar pin was in there. I mean, yeah, I guess that makes sense. It would fit. You can see where it was like scoring it. But, well, it's got some play in it. I think we'll tighten it another notch and we put it all back together. But let's get this one out of there. All right, so it's now Wednesday of the following week of the footage you just watched. Had to wait on getting these fittings in for the third time. But anyways, they let me get some time to make my carbon fiber mud covers. Now those might sell before the race season, but right now they're mine. They're my personal ones. It's been a struggle bus trying to find time to make stuff for myself and not my customers. I put them first. But anyways, can y'all see this little guy? You see this little spider right here I just saw? Man, he might be the one doing all these webs I keep walking in. Let's torch him. I think he knows what's coming for him. Oh, wow. Crispy now. Well, he's good. All right, so I have the fittings. I need to make a fuel line that comes out here, goes down, and then a 90 into the fuel pump there. Then I have another 90 that I need to install in my fuel pump here, have it out, come towards this way. So this can mount on there, or on the other side, vice versa. We'll see how it fits up. So I can't win with this thing at all. Look, I put this fitting in. Are you freaking kidding me? So I either have to ruin this gasket taking the fuel pump off, or fight all like 16 of these freaking bolts with that spring on the diaphragm and risk damaging this diaphragm of the fuel pump. So I got everything hooked up. We'll see how it lasts. This is actually very sturdy off here. I'm gonna do a paint marker to make sure these all stay in line and that nothing backs off. Everything is kind of just temp installed for now. I'm gonna zip tie clean up everything later, but I made this line here. Kind of runs down and around and into there. We'll see how that works out. The main fuel line is connected. So I'm gonna crank it, then kind of go from there, check for leaks, get fuel back into the carburetor, and then see how it runs, and then adjust fuel pressure there. All right, so using shop air, I pressurized the fuel tank until I saw fuel pressure on that gauge. So let's see if it cranks now. Let's see if we can at least see fuel pressure climb when we turn it over. Something messed up somewhere. So the pump is back off and disassembled and reassembled correctly. So what happened was, I think when I was reclocking this while it was on the motor, there's a pin that runs through the center here that kind of hooks onto a mechanism right in here. Well, it didn't hook itself back on. Maybe it came off, maybe I didn't put it on right, but anyways, now this should work. Got to redo the gasket now, and we're gonna put it back together correctly this time, and hopefully it works. So I just learned how fuel pump works. So I've taken that out of all this, and I've learned a lot just doing this fuel system upgrade alone with AN fittings, and man, like a lot of it applies to aircraft maintenance. I mean, you have your FAA handbook that talks about, you know, AN fitting sizes and torques, thread pitch, and it's crazy. And then you can get into, I dove into like fuel delivery, how your supply line should be 10 AN, and then pressure differences. And man, you can get pretty lost in just designing a fuel system. So I don't know, I learned a lot. So basically you need a 10 AN and then 8 AN everywhere else. Your return line could be a 6, but that could throw off your pressures a little bit. But anyways, I'm going to get some gasket maker on here and reinstall this for like the 4th time. Okay, another key takeaway. So this pump uses standard thread, not an 8 AN. So it's like 1/2 inch NPT or I don't know, whatever, to an 8 AN adapter. This is what I had to buy. You do not use Teflon tape on AN fittings whatsoever. You have 8N or 8N ORB, which is your O-ring. You still don't use tape on. It disrupts the sealing factor of the flange and everything. But the instructions said not to use Teflon tape, to use like Teflon paste. I don't have any, so we use tape instead. We'll see how that holds up. If it starts leaking or the E85 eats it or whatever, well, y'all will know from my mistake. But let me repressurize the system and we'll see if we get fuel pressure now. All right, now let's see if we get fuel pressure. I started the fuel last time. There we go. Let's see. Okay. So I did have a little leak up here. I did tighten it down. It was coming out of this union right here, this ORB. Now everything's good with the fuel system. I just need to route all my wires, zip tie everything up. I'm gonna redo this cap. I don't really like it because I can't put, I don't know where it is. It's somewhere up here. I can't put that cap on to keep the plug wires on. So I'm gonna kind of mess around with that, kind of clean all that stuff up. Other than that, I'm kind of down to just a few more checklist things. Big thing is setup, engine maintenance. That's done. Then I'm gonna go through the front end. I gotta do Heims and re-lube all my ball joints and upper control arms, that kind of stuff. And it's just set up and get, you know, regular race week preparingness. So we're gonna call this a video right here. I appreciate y'all watching. I'll see y'all next week when we get ready to go racing.